Oh, me? Yeah, no, just in deep contemplation over things I can't control and that are far greater than my competency or understanding. But let's give it a shot anyway. Got some notes for this one. I had a fascinating discussion with a friend where we talked on the idea of vulnerability. We talked about the idea of asking for help or simply showing others around us what we're contending with. The conversation would lead us to determining how to, how not to, what was optimal, what was not recommended, and how such thing might play out best. There's no doubt there's so many different factors for each individual that go into whether or not they're able to showcase what it is that's going on for them. And so first and foremost, we aim to imagine how this might go well. And then we imagined how it might go wrong. We'd acknowledge and imagine that everyone has their own big sack of stuff that they're carrying with them. How do I make this bag lighter? How do I share with others around me what's in the bag? How, in the struggle of determining whether or not I should keep it to myself or share it with others, where do I even start? And so we outlined two scenarios. First, of what we'll call the victim mentality, in which I bring my giant bag to a friend or a family member, my partner, and I lay it out, have a fit, point, blame, and force this situation into what would be an inevitable, what are we supposed to do here situation. If I present my problems, my issues, my traumas to someone who is close to me, what might the result be? We might find ourselves in conflict. We might see the listener offering up solutions. And because we might have thrown our stuff without exactly outlining what success would look like in this situation, it might not go so well. And so in this conversation, he'd go on to say, and surely this is a belief of his, I know that women say they want to see men and their vulnerability, but I know that they need me to be a pillar of strength. And so the suggestion might say or be along the lines of, she thinks that's what she wants, but really it's this. Do we want the people around us to be strong? Of course. And so what does strength look like? There's no doubt in certain times it is the showcasing of how much you can handle when times get tough. How you might be the person that can be looked to when people are looking to someone. But if we've already outlined the ways in which the throwing of the bag can go wrong, we have to identify how that could go right. And so I think the simple difference between doing it right and doing it wrong lies with the amount of ownership and accountability you're willing to take. Because in a positive scenario where you showcase what is happening for you, you'll bring your issues to the table, you'll express that these are the issues, you'll express and point and show where it is you could have been better, and so therefore taking ownership as to your part in what is created. You might go so far as to say, these are the steps I'm taking towards being better. At least if you were initially able to point them out, you could say, I understand that this needs work, this needs better, this is better, this is better. In the negative scenario, you're defending all that bad behavior and those poor decisions. And so to present your problems, your issues, your stresses, your grievances in a way that says, these are the issues I'm carrying, this is what I'm contending with, but this is how I plan on contending with it. Maybe taking it a step further to request what it is you're hoping in response. And so that accountability element coming in would also say, I understand that this is mine to rectify, own, get better at. You might go on to say something like, I don't want this to weigh too heavily on you, but the ways in which I'm doing this alone aren't quite working. And so in many ways, there's things we must do before we're able to successfully present this information. Right? If I have things that are going on for me, I wish to present these things. It might be the case that the person on the receiving end of this information will feel called to do something. Maybe that's not what you want, right? If I bring my problems to my partner, I don't want them to mother me. I don't want them to fix anything for me. Of course, now flipping back to the negative side, that victimhood that we may fall into if presenting our issues in ways not quite conducive to success while being vulnerable, might actually see that you're putting an expectation on that person to figure out your own wants and needs. And so before we move on, victimhood, ownership and accountability. If I'm feeling these ways, if I'm feeling sad for myself, if I'm not taking ownership for the issues and how I can begin to appropriately contend with them, it's going to be quite hard to present such things successfully. Where if you can admit that you're wrong, admit that you could be better, establish the position as a student who has something to learn, as well as the courage that you wish to learn such things, it's my sense then that they who you might bring your vulnerability to shall be able to accept you, meet you, and join you appropriately. So how do we overcome this belief that we must be a certain way? What are the ways in which we believe we ought to be certain ways? To go through the long list of negative core beliefs would be a video in and of itself. And so a simpler version that can lead us to those beliefs is to identify why, say, men or women keep from being vulnerable. I would say that pride or ego tells us that you can't be this version of yourself that still has learning to do, better to be, more to achieve, and a state of mental wellness, mental health that is probably preferred to what you might be feeling now. And so pride and ego, even knowing how to open up or how to ask for help. Imagine me knowing that I'm having a terrible time. I know I want to feel better, but I'm looking at my own life going, where do I even start? And maybe that's exactly where you start. I'm having a terrible time and I don't even know where to start. I want to be better. I want to work towards being better. Man, what a start. Trouble finding your voice, not knowing the words, not knowing where to start. Here's another one, and I see this a lot. Deflection through humor. Here we are, we're in discussion, we're getting towards points in discussion that are uncomfortable or leading to ownership, accountability, or in this case, avoidance. No, man, you bury that shit deep. I ain't no bitch. Things like this. People feel ashamed. It's easy in today's day and age to look online and see everyone knocking it out of the park, or at least making it look like they are. So much so as we're convinced that everyone else has it figured out. And so your shame and maybe this portrayal of this competent and expert status you've held might make it hard to announce yourself as a student. And so male vulnerability, what can we conclude? Referring back to the initial statement or initial idea that would suggest that my friend's partner wants him to be vulnerable, and his insistence that it's not that she wants him to be vulnerable, although she says that, she actually needs him to be strong. While I think there's complexities there that are impossible to determine given what little we know of this exact situation and the fact that everything is so individual, what I do know to be true is that the people that care most about us want to know where we are at. They want to know us deeply. They want to know if there's anything they can do to help. They do want to know that you're strong. And so by being vulnerable, courageous, accountable, and taking ownership, I believe that we can vulnerably express what it is we're faced with, so that the people we love know exactly where we're at, so that the people we love don't have to guess, so that the people we know and love can see our strength through our struggle as the way in which we contend with the world instills trust in them that we've got it. And so if the two extremes are to be vulnerable, courageous, to show where you're at, let people around you know you a little better, or to be isolated, alone, silent, and leaving room for speculation as to where you're at, or showcasing our issues in a way that is without an upward aim, I'd encourage us all to think deeply on where you're at and how you can recruit those around you to put them in your corner, bolstering you up towards the person you want to be, the goals you want to achieve, and in the adventure of your life. I've read places that June is Men's Mental Health Month. And so to my brothers who are carrying weight that which we don't see, to the brothers with stories of which they don't voice, a message of encouragement is to say, you got this. The tough conversations, the scary thing, big dreams, big regrets, it's all part of a story of which you get to write. You hold the pen. Let's fucking go.